Hi everyone, and welcome to today's Daily Booster for Biology, number 14 on the list. Do note this is one of those advanced information listed topics for those of you doing the foundation paper. It's not explicitly listed for those of you doing higher, but that doesn't mean there won't be questions on the topics on your paper this summer. What we're going to do is have a look at the eye today then. Now, the diagram at the top there is one that you really do need to know because there's nothing to say that they can't give you questions with a diagram of the eye very similar to that and ask you to name part X. So obviously they'll have removed all the other labels, they'll have a line and part X, you will be needed to name that. So my suggestion there is to get a copy of this diagram, print it off, stick little tabs over the actual names, and then you can just test yourself time and time again until you get them perfectly every single time. What we find then is the eye is all to do with sight. Now, what we actually have are cells that detect light in our retina, but in order to actually get the light there, what has to happen is we need to focus this light. So what happens is, as it passes through the cornea at the surface of the eye there, then we start to get refraction, so it starts to bend the light, and it will continue to be refracted by the lens. The lens is the main place of refraction, but a small amount does happen in the cornea. What we should find is that that should then bring our light to perfect focus on the retina itself. The retina contains these photosensitive cells that are then going to cause an electrical impulse to be sent down the optic nerve, which then takes the information to the brain where we process it. So these are the parts of the eye we need to know then. We need to know what they do and obviously where they are from the diagram. So the cornea, that is your transparent coating on the very front of your eye, partially to do with protection, but also begins to refract the light that enters your eye. Second part, the pupil, this is the hole, that black hole in the center of your eye there, and this is all to do with allowing light to enter the eye itself. The iris is that coloured ring of muscle tissue around your pupil, and its purpose is to actually change the size of the pupil by contracting or relaxing depending on the light levels you are actually present in. The lens is next. This is a biconvex lens that's going to focus the light onto the retina. Ciliary body is a ring of muscle tissue that alters the shape of the lens. The suspensory ligaments connect the ciliary muscle to the lens. And finally, the optic nerve carries those nerve impulses to the brain itself. So make sure you know what each part of the eye does. Don't ignore ciliary body and suspensory ligaments because they have come up previously. So we need to know how the eye actually lets us see things up close and far away. What we're actually going to see is this is where the ciliary muscle comes into its own. This is its role in life. What it's going to do is it's going to contract or relax to change the shape of the lens depending on if we're looking at something up close or far away. So if we're looking at something up close, so when you're reading a book for example, the ciliary muscle contracts and that's then going to make the lens fatter, or the scientific way, more convex. As a result of that, we're going to refract the light more and it brings that light to a focus on our retina perfectly. If we're looking at something far away, so you're looking at something in the distance, then what's going to happen, the ciliary muscle relaxes, the lens becomes less convex or it becomes thinner, and that then allows us to focus that light on the retina once more. So remember, near objects, ciliary muscle contracts, lens is more convex, and then the opposite is true for far away. So realistically, learn one, and then you know that the opposite is true for the other. We need to know about 3 defects of vision to finish off our work on the eye. The first one is if you are short-sighted. So this is where we're going to have glasses for different things. So if you're short-sighted, then distant objects are blurry, but things up close, absolutely fine. The reason that this occurs is the lens is too strong or your eyeball is a bit too long. So what we do is we'll correct it with a concave lens. So you can see in the little diagram below what's actually happening. So the top one shows us the situation without glasses. The light would actually be coming to a perfect focus sort of in the middle of your eyeball. But when we actually add that concave lens, what it does is it bends the light slightly outwards before it enters the eye, which then means it comes to that perfect focus on the retina. So short sight, concave lens. Long sight, that means that near objects are blurry, but ones in the distance are lovely and clear. This is where the lens is too weak or your eyeball is too short, so the opposite of what we saw for short sight. And the way we correct it is with a convex lens. So long sight corrected with a convex lens, because what that does is it bends the light slightly inwards before it enters the eye, again bringing it to a perfect focus on the retina. The last problem we need to know about is colour blindness. Now, hopefully we do know that inside our eye, the retina is made of two different types of cells. We have rods and cones. The rods are the ones that allow you to see in low light levels, but they don't respond to different colours, hence why everything looks a bit washed out at night. Whereas cones, they respond to the different colours. So you've got different cone cells for red, blue, green light. Now, if you are colourblind, this is where you have difficulty making out the different colours. And this is usually a genetically inherited condition affecting males. So what we tend to find is that more often than not, it's the men that have the problem, and it's all down to their genes, so what they've inherited from parents. So colour blindness runs through a family. Final thing to do for today then is head on over and have a go at our little quiz to check your understanding on the eye. Obviously, if there are bits that you get wrong, it's always worth going back and revisiting that either from your revision guides, your classwork, or watching the eye video on the channel. Don't forget to come back again tomorrow for our next Daily Booster.